Good evening, and welcome to another stupefying version of Diatribes from the voice of doom. Now here's your sophisticated and sophomoric host, voice of doom. Good evening. I thought I'd do another diatribe to comment on the latest brouhaha and things I've seen. And I saw something on YouTube today that was gratifying and encouraging, and at the same time it was ugly and it was disgusting. But it was a nice thing to see that the Committee for Oversight or what have you went to what is now Manhatten, soon to be a smoldering pit, to have a hearing on crime. And I can see and feel by the tenor and tone of these on-the-road hearings that the common clay are getting pissed and the tide is turning. The tide is turning much like the tide turned after the Titanic started sinking. And some crewman came up and said, "Good news, Captain. The tide's turning. We're heading south. The debris is heading toward warmer waters." Oh, thank you, yeoman. Go back to your post. Okay. The tide is turning. It's day late and dollar short. It's way too late. You can feel in the air that the end is coming. Bad things are coming very soon. I wouldn't be surprised if it's within the next few weeks. It's going to be catastrophe. There's going to be cataclysm. There's going to be destruction, because the window of opportunity is closing on everyone, including what used to be the U.S. government, because the anti-disestablishmentarianists are starting to say, we're not going to put up with this BS anymore. We're not going to listen to your crap about Orangey being a criminal and no one's above the law, and anyone that says anything bad to anyone that isn't Caucasian is a racist. All this other crap that's causing the worldwide destruction we're seeing. So the deep state and all those other people that are planning our demise have to move quickly now, because otherwise the tide's going to turn on them and they will be washed out to sea. So they can't have that. So I saw the hearing. Didn't watch everything from stem to stern. I just got the highlights. And I saw the common clay standing up and making a lot more sense than any congressman could possibly make, because they're talking about reality, whereas the congressmen are just trying to make their points for their side. Now, a lady, I think Harrison was her name, made a statement which I really liked, 2 words which I wish I had coined for myself: depraved indifference. That's exactly what's going on. Depraved indifference from the lower echelons of leaders in what used to be the United States, the school boards, the city councils, and then heading all the way down to the top levels of the what used to be the government, going all the way down to the Petri dish administration and everyone in between. People are getting sick of it, and they're starting to see through the bull crap. And it's not a good idea for any republic to be democratic, because then you just let the common clay have their say, and then you either have to squirm around and say, your time is up, or you go off on a tirade about them being racist, because they made up a good point about the city going to hell in a handbasket. Okay. So we listened to the hearings, and it is typical of hearings, but the thing about hearings is what plays well in D.C. may not play well in Peoria, or what is now Manhattan, soon to be a smoldering pit. You can't spout out the same platitudes and talking points that seem to have won everyone over in the past. So when Bags of Skin gets up and says, "This hearing is a sham, it's nothing more than a political stunt to discredit our hero Alvin. They just want to get Alvin because Alvin is going to go after our arch enemy Orangey with damning evidence that's going to put him behind bars for the rest of his life." So that was it for the D's. The D's only wanted to pontificate on how the hearings were just a political stunt in order to save Orangey. Now, I saw people on the panel that were passionate, articulate, and very vocal about their opinion. They didn't have any axe to grind on any political side. They just wanted to see crime not be running rampant in the city. Many of them had loved ones and sons and husbands or what have you killed senselessly because of rampant crime. But then to add insult to injury, the defendants and the perpetrators were given very light sentences or no sentences at all for murder because the prosecutors did not want to be racist and jail too many people of color or other people. So we'll just say there was no crime. So these people were very indignant and very angry, and I would be angry too. I wouldn't be able to sit there calmly and collectedly. I would be rampantly livid to the point where they would have to restrain me with straps onto a gurney and wheel me out. But unfortunately, the Congress can do nothing but pass laws. So if the D's weren't bitching and complaining about how this whole thing was a political stunt in order to save Orangey, they would say, if only we would just have more gun control laws, none of this crime would happen. Which is typical of what used to be the government. We do not enforce the laws that we have on the books, but we want more laws. Now, everyone knows that making more laws about crime will not quell crime unless you incarcerate criminals. It's the only way you can do it. And if you don't want to incarcerate them because it's racist, then you will have what you have now. You will have cities that are running rampant with anarchy, looting, and businesses leaving neighborhoods. So it's either make more gun control laws or this whole thing is a sham because you guys are trying to discredit this hero whose face should be on Mount Rushmore for finally indicting Orangey and getting ready to put him in prison for life. No one is above the law, says this idiot lizard entity named Schiff. And this is why this hearing is a sham, because it's only trying to discredit our hero Alvin, with or without his chipmunks, and to help defend Orangey, who's a criminal and a liar. And then when someone comments, what about the dossier, then Lizard laughs, because nothing more than an evil entity that has crawled out from a rock from hell. And I wish he would go back to where he came from. Go back to the pit that holds all the evil entities in this universe until they've gotten a turn to be born again, to come to some planet to wreak havoc again. And this lizard might be the next senator from California, taking over the decrepit and demented and brain-addled Feinstein. So they're going to replace Feinstein with Lizard. So California is doing real well. It should really, I wish the San Andreas would finally give way once and for all and just have that whole half of what used to be California fall into the sea, and things will be much better after that, I'm sure. But I was sickened by the Lizard. Always been sickened by him. He has not uttered one syllable in his life that hasn't been a lie. And then he scoffs and smirks when someone calls him on one of his lies, as if, "How dare you, common clay? You don't know what I know." Joe McCarthy, I have here in a list of all the things that Orangey's done. Put it in my pocket. Don't want you to see it, but I got it. Can't stand him. I wish Orangey and Bags of Skin would be bound together and tossed overboard into the Pacific Ocean and let them fend for themselves from there. But the hearings were enlightening in a way, because I can see that the anti-disestablishmenters are starting to push back, and they aren't necessarily partisan. They just don't want so much crime. Who wants to live in a city where you're scared all the time? I've been scared all the time when I went to school in 7th grade. It's not a good feeling. And when you are afraid that you have to stand near the wall at the subway in case somebody randomly wants to push you into the tracks, it's not a good way to live. Call it the Big Apple if you want. I call it a rotten piece of rotting fruit. Now, a few other things. Statistics. Well, you can't say that Manhattan has a bad crime problem. Murder only went up 10% over the year. Look at these other places. Look at Podunk, Arkansas. Crime went up 100% year for year. Well, we had 1,000 murders in Manhattan in 22, and then we have 1,100 murders in 23, went up 10%. Podunk, Arkansas had 1 murder in 22 and 2 murders in 23. Their crime rate went up 100%. See how bad it is there? That's how they use statistics, to make people think that they're not seeing what they're seeing with their own eyes. So, come on. People have to see into that and see through it. Use statistics any way you want. Now, the last subject I want to cover is youth have no direction. They are rampaging through cities. They get together with their social media and decide, let's all meet together downtown tonight at 11 p.m. and rampage through the city just because we feel like it. Now, teenagers in this day and age are insane. All of them. And it's obvious why. First of all, they've been addicted to their phones since they were kids, little, and it's rendered them hopelessly insane, obviously. Why wouldn't you be when you're trying to keep up with every tweet and every DM and every CM and every BM that comes your way on your phone, and it drives you absolutely nuts. So they're all insane. Another reason they're insane, well, we shut down the world in 2020, and we kept kids from pursuing whatever they were pursuing for a year and a half in a lot of areas where the schools wanted to keep shutting down because the teachers wanted some leverage in order to gain their own ends. So let's keep the kids out of school because we might get a cough or a cold. Okay, the kids lost out on a year and a half of their lives. They're addicted to their phones. They're all insane. They know there's no consequences to any crime they do. They know they won't even be pursued, let alone caught, let alone arrested, let alone convicted, let alone incarcerated. Ain't gonna happen. They can all do what they want. You give someone an inch, they take 10 miles. You give 1,000 teenagers rampaging through the streets of a city, and they realize they can do whatever they want. They'll destroy cars and buildings, and then they'll start burning buildings with people in them, and they'll go further and further. So there's a generation of people that are clinically insane on our planet right now, walking amongst us. So people better think about that. And I'll leave it there. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in about this crime hearing. Oh, and one last thing. When I hear the word political stunt, I chortle. I get very gleeful because I know that something good's happening. Because whenever the D's say, this is just a political stunt by the coppers, it's a political stunt that they send migrants from Texas to Martha's Vineyard when they should send them up into Arizona and send them into the small towns of Texas where they belong. It's a political stunt to ship them all the way to Martha's Vineyard. Well, people paid attention, didn't they, when that happened? This is a political stunt using people as props to have a hearing in Manhattan about crime. What a cynical thing to do. No, people are paying attention. And they know crime is rampant, and they know no one's life is safe. It's all part and parcel of trying to kill 6 billion people. Do it very easily by not putting criminals in jail. They kill more and more people, and then they finally end up getting killed. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, literally. So I'll leave it there. I hope this was halfway decent. I just wanted to stick my 2 cents in about the crime hearing situation. And I hope that the D's are seeing their demise before their eyes. I hope they fade away like every other bad movement that's come through this planet. Nazism, Khmer Rouge, any of those, just let it go by the wayside. The Democratic Party should be outlawed. I'll leave it there. Okay, bye-bye.